So listen, when it comes to opinions, I oscillate between a lot of different ones. And that's kind of the beauty of the job that I work. I'm privy to so much information that when new information becomes available, or new theories or new opinions become available, I get to basically re-research the entirety of Naruto to see if the opinions I've previously stated still hold up. And that's kind of the problem with being a person who posts 3 times a week about Naruto. The need to fill an almost endless content schedule based around one universe means that I need to be privy to basically every single opinion on the internet. Now, the reason that I'm kind of covering my bases right here is because I very recently, as in the last video I posted a video about how Itachi might actually be the strongest Uchiha in existence. And while today we're not going to be talking about Itachi's strengths, we are going to be talking about his weaknesses, but not his physical weaknesses or his jutsu weaknesses or even his illness. No, today we are shifting the tone from Itachi might be the strongest Uchiha ever to Itachi might be the worst spy ever. See, like I stated in my last video, I've been rereading the Itachi light novels. And as we all know, at the end of Itachi's light novels, after the Uchiha massacre, he goes off to be a spy for Konoha against the Akatsuki. At least, that's what he says he's going to do. Because even though Itachi is a spy in the Akatsuki, for almost 7 years, he accomplishes next to nothing as a spy. In fact, one could go so far as to say that he accomplishes more as an Akatsuki member than he does as a spy, which is the exact opposite of what he should be doing. After rereading the light novel and reflecting upon Itachi's time in the Akatsuki, I've realized he did much more bad than good. And genuinely, there's no excuse for it. But what do I mean? Where did he go wrong? What could he have prevented, and whose death is he responsible for? And trust me, Itachi's lack of skill as a spy put even more blood on his hands than he already had. So today, we're gonna try and answer all of those questions and more. But first, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys like the idea of me doing deep dives into some of your favorite anime characters, you're gonna love my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking about Naruto and Boruto, I talk all other anime. Or if you just like the idea of me talking about anime, you're gonna love my anime podcast, Who Talk is Anonymous, that I do every week with Danny Mata, where me and him break down everything that happened in anime. This week, it's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So Itachi is supposedly one of Konoha's greatest assets. A man who not only went far enough for Konoha to massacre his entire clan to stop a possible coup that would have weakened and possibly crippled Konoha forever, but also a man who would masquerade as a ninja who left Konoha so we could get into one of the most dangerous and prestigious groups in the entire Naruto world, the Akatsuki. However, Itachi joined the Akatsuki with one purpose in mind: to be a spy. Itachi was supposed to join the Akatsuki so they could keep an eye on the Akatsuki for Konoha. Keep Konoha in the know about the Akatsuki's motives, their whereabouts, the moves of the individual members. All things that Itachi, as one of the inner members of the Akatsuki, would have been incredibly privy to. And yet, over the course of 7 years of being a spy in the Akatsuki, Itachi relays 0 information to Konoha. Well, he relays one piece of information to Konoha, but we'll get to that in a second. And the thing is, it's not like Itachi joined the Akatsuki as a spy in secret. We all know that Itachi, after the Uchiha massacre, had a conversation with Hiruzen where was like, I can't believe Danzo forced you into this. I'm so sorry. And Itachi was like, it's fine, but the dude I killed everybody with is claiming to be Madara, and he's running an organization known as the Akatsuki. I'm gonna leave the village because I just killed the entire Uchiha clan, and after I leave the village, I'm gonna keep an eye on this organization for you. Immediately drawing a connection between Hiruzen and Itachi as the informant and the one being informed. Immediately setting up the precedent that there should be information flowing between both Hiruzen and Itachi, meaning that Hiruzen should, in an ideal circumstance, be as knowledgeable on the Akatsuki as Itachi. And yet, the only time that Itachi confers even a little bit of information about the Akatsuki to anybody in Konoha is when he pulls up in Konoha after Hiruzen's death. See, we all know now that we've finished Naruto that after Hiruzen's death, Itachi returns to Konoha to remind Danzo that he's still alive, and even now that Hiruzen is gone, Itachi isn't. So if Danzo lays a hand on Sasuke, Itachi can at any point come back and kill Danzo. However, at the current time of Itachi returning to Konoha, we didn't know that motivation. We simply thought that Itachi and Kisame happened to show up in Konoha after Hiruzen's death because Konoha was the weakest it had ever been. But when Itachi and Kisame show up, they battle battle against people like Kakashi and Asuma and Kurenai and Jiraiya. Itachi grabs Sasuke by the throat, casts him into Tsukiyomi, makes him relive the Uchiha massacre for like 48 hours, and Jiraiya battles Itachi and Kisame to a relative standstill that Itachi forces them to retreat from. But while they're battling, and actually more specifically before they start battling, Itachi reveals to Jiraiya that the Akatsuki's singular goal is to acquire Naruto, which we now know was Itachi relaying information to Jiraiya that the Akatsuki have their scopes on Naruto, so protect him and train him. This is the only piece of information Itachi ever gives anybody from Konoha about the Akatsuki. In 7 years of spy work, Itachi reports one thing that Konoha probably could have pretty easily figured out, considering the fact that A, the Akatsuki have already tried to capture Kurama when Obito attacked on the night of Naruto's birth. B, Jinchuriki are disappearing left and right, and they're all being kidnapped by the Akatsuki. And sure, villages don't talk that often, but when some of the most powerful people in the entire universe start getting killed by a group wearing very suspicious dark robes with red clouds on them, the rumor mill starts working. And C, lastly, Naruto has to be the last Jinchuriki stolen, as if Kurama is placed into the Geto statue anything but last, the Geto statue will be destroyed because Kurama is stronger than all of the other tailed beasts combined. So if Konoha couldn't piece together the fact that
the guy who's now running the Akatsuki actually tried to attack on the night of Naruto's birth and steal Kurama, and all other 8 of the Jinchuriki have now been kidnapped by the Akatsuki, I wonder what they're after.
Sure, Itachi telling Jiraiya did obviously give Konoha a jump on figuring out what the Akatsuki were planning, but that also could have been a letter. Because let's say hypothetically, Jiraiya doesn't show up to protect Naruto. How is Itachi gonna sell the whole thing to Kisame like, oh no, we shouldn't steal this defenseless child? Listen, I understand showing up to show Danzo that you're still alive and that you can kill him at any point. In fact, I love that. But when you take the Akatsuki mission so seriously that now you are not only strangling your own brother, but also right next to the thing that the Akatsuki wants more than anything else, how are you gonna super double agent your way out of not abducting a defenseless 13-year-old?
Oh, I don't know, Kisame. He looks kinda dangerous.
Yeah, of course I killed that perfect Jinchuriki that was the head of the Hidden Mist Village, but this one seems dangerous. And because of Itachi's complete and utter refusal to report anything about the Akatsuki to Konoha, every single fight that teams or members from Konoha had against the Akatsuki, they went into 100% blind. Like Team 10 battling against Hidan and Kakuzu. You know what didn't need to be a surprise? The fact that Kakuzu had the ability to stretch his arms and reattach severed limbs, and also control all 5 elemental releases through different masks on his body. You know what else didn't need to be a mystery? The fact that Hidan was immortal, and that if he gets any of your blood, he's able to inflict wounds onto himself that are reflected onto you. You know why that didn't need to be a mystery? Because Itachi knew those things. Itachi served side by side with both Kakuzu and Hidan. He knew they were both part of a team known as the Zombie Duo, as they were both immortal. And sure, Kakuzu was probably a member of the Akatsuki before Itachi, but Hidan wasn't. As we learned in one of the Storm games, I'm aware it's not canon, but it gives us information where nothing else gives us information, that Orochimaru and Kakuzu were actually the people who went to go recruit Hidan, and that upon cutting down Hidan, they realized he could regenerate, and Kakuzu became interested in Hidan after he destroyed one of his masks. So sure, you could even hypothetically say that Itachi wasn't privy to the fact that Kakuzu was able to control Earth Grudge Fear, which how would he not be? But he was most definitely privy to the fact that Hidan was immortal, especially when you consider the fact that he never shut up about Lord Jashin. And you know who would have really loved some info about how Hidan's powers worked? Probably Asuma.
Hey, are we sending some of our most important Jonin out to go capture members of the Akatsuki? We are? Do we actively know that Asuma is being targeted by the likes of Kakuzu, one of the most dangerous Akatsuki members, because of his incredibly high bounty in the underworld? We do know that? Has there already been a track record of Kakuzu hunting down and systematically killing members of the 12 Pillars because of their high bounties? There is?
So maybe we tell Asuma that there's a duo of 2 immortals looking for him, trying to cash in his incredibly high bounty? No, we're not gonna, because we don't know? That's why we can't tell him? Okay, cool. And why don't we know? Oh, because our spy hasn't talked to us in 5 years? Okay, but even if you want to say that somehow Itachi doesn't understand the abilities of Hidan or Kakuzu, even though their abilities are not that confusing, we're not talking about Nagato here, but we will talk about Nagato at one point or another. My guy Kakashi, Asuma, and Killer Bee didn't know that Kisame wielded Samehada, a shark skin blade capable of cutting you open and then leaking your chakra out of your body. They were also really surprised at Kisame's incredible water release and the fact that he could merge himself into a shark. And you know who spent like just so much time with Kisame, like so much time that Kisame was actually more loyal to him than he was the Akatsuki? Itachi. And yet every single person who ever fights against Kisame for the first time is baffled by the fact that Samehada can eat chakra. Like even Alba, when he shows up to suppress Kisame with his stone pillar jutsu, I forget what it's called, stone needles, where he throws two kunai stuck to strings that he channels chakra through, and when those two kunai stick into you, you're paralyzed, like shadow paralysis jutsu, but through a kunai. Like even he didn't understand that the second that he impaled Kisame was something funneling his chakra, that Kisame would just be able to absorb his chakra. But we've been battling against Kisame for like 300 chapters. We needed like one letter from Itachi the second he got teamed up with Kisame, be like, shark boy, shark sword, eat chakra. That's it. And if you're ever gonna send somebody to battle against Kisame, just hand them a laminated copy of that letter and be like, shark boy, shark sword, eat chakra. Okay, so don't hit him with chakra-based attacks. But does it stop there? No, of course not. Because Jiraiya, when he goes to the Hidden Rain, is both surprised by the 6 paths of pain and the fact that Konan has the dance of the Shikigami, which allows her to make her body into paper. Not only does Jiraiya not understand how Nagato's kit work, he basically doesn't understand how Konan's does. And sure, as the battle goes on, is Jiraiya able to figure things out about the 6 paths of pain and Konan's origami abilities? Yeah, absolutely. But it's a little too late. What's even more disrespectful about this is that if there's anybody technically that Itachi should have been reporting to, it was Jiraiya. Now, obviously, we all know that the agreement to become a spy in the Akatsuki was made between Hiruzen and Itachi, which would lead a lot of people to the assumption that if there's anybody that Itachi should be reporting to, it should be Hiruzen. However, Jiraiya is actually the spy master of Konoha. Jiraiya left the village largely because he was following Orochimaru's trail, trying to bring him to justice as one of his closest friends. And therefore, everything that Jiraiya knew about the Akatsuki and Orochimaru, he got from his massive network of spies. It is canonical lore that Jiraiya had a massive network of spies with spies in every single major country. And those spies fed him information and kept him in the loop on basically all things world events, Akatsuki somewhat included, which is how Jiraiya was able to deduce that the Akatsuki were running out of the Hidden Rain, and how Jiraiya was able to stay relatively on the tail of Orochimaru for as long as he was alive. And you know who was technically a spy in one of the major nations? Itachi. So if Itachi wasn't feeding information to Hiruzen, he should have been feeding information to Jiraiya. Or if he was feeding information to Hiruzen, Hiruzen should have been feeding that information to Jiraiya, and he would have, because Jiraiya was Hiruzen's Shadow Hokage outside of Danzo. He was his like better Shadow Hokage. And Hiruzen reported any and all information he had to Jiraiya, because Jiraiya was outside of the village doing all of the important work. And thus, if Itachi was doing his actual job, Jiraiya, through either Hiruzen or through a direct connection, should have known the abilities of Konan and Nagato. And before you go,
Oh, but how would he know Nagato's abilities? We never really know if he saw him fight.
Itachi is one of the most talented sensor ninjas in Naruto's entire universe. Not to mention, he also has a Sharingan, and Sharingans confer you the ability to track chakra. Does it give you as good chakra sensing as the Byakugan? No. But could Itachi, with his incredible sensor abilities, figure out that Nagato was controlling 6 puppets with chakra and a Rinnegan? Probably, especially when you consider the fact that the Rinnegan was very clearly tied to the Geto Mazo, and Nagato was in charge of that. To take it even one step further than that, we know for a fact that Nagato was still very much going out on missions to either catch Jinchuriki or just further the cause of the Akatsuki. As we know, and once again, yes, this is filler, but it gives us information that the manga never did, that he was the person who was sent out to kill Udakata. Not to mention that when Itachi is reanimated and has to battle against Edo Nagato, he understands Edo Nagato's abilities. His repulsion ability, his attraction ability, the fact that if you fire at the center of a Chubaku Tensei, you can actually break it if you destroy the gravity well. Itachi understood Nagato's abilities very well. And now obviously one could chalk that up to battle IQ and figuring it out in the moment, but I can guarantee you a lot of the information that Itachi had about Edo Nagato in that fight came from the fact that they served side by side for 7 years. Also, Konan being made out of paper is incredibly obvious. And listen, I know I can hear you saying,
But Nick, he made the connection with Hiruzen. Hiruzen was supposed to be the person he was informing, but Hiruzen died 4 years into being a spy, so he had nobody else to report to.
listen to yourself. Listen to how dumb that sounds. Oh no, Hiruzen, the guy I wasn't reporting to in the first place, died. It's like Hiruzen was getting bombarded with letters from Itachi being like, we just got this guy called Hidan, he's immortal, Kakuzu has spaghetti arms. And even if, hypothetically, Hiruzen was being bombarded with letters like Harry Potter in that one scene. I've seen like 25 collective minutes of the Harry Potter movies, and that's like one of the scenes I know. It's not like after Hiruzen dies, the address to the Hokage office changes. Oh no, Hiruzen's gone. Whatever will I do? Well, there's this new Hokage who's also acting in all of the interests of Konoha and also wants to keep Konoha a safe and peaceful place for my little brother. Maybe, oh maybe, I just write Tsunade. Listen, I understand that Hiruzen didn't have time to brief Tsunade on all things Hokage. Like on his deathbed, he couldn't grab Tsunade's hand and be like, we have a little boy who's a spy in the Akatsuki, but he's dying and he doesn't know how to write letters. So maybe, just maybe, write a letter, attach it to a crow, fly to the Hokage's office. Tsunade opens it and it's like, hey, don't be shocked, but actually, I'm a spy for the Akatsuki. And then Tsunade can ask the 2 village elders who absolutely knew that Itachi was a spy. Why wouldn't Hiruzen tell them? And she could be like, hey, is this real? And they could be like, yeah, he's our greatest asset that somehow forgot that he was our asset. And then bing, bang, boom, the chain of command is restored. Or, you know, he could just report to Jiraiya. Which, like, as the spy master of Konoha, Hiruzen probably should have kicked Itachi's reports down to Jiraiya in the first place. But what's completely wild is that Jiraiya didn't even know Itachi was a spy to begin with. Which makes the whole thing that much more confusing. Because if you're Hiruzen, and you have a man, probably stronger than you, out patrolling around the village, making sure that everything that could threaten Konoha is not threatening Konoha, and you know that this man is your spy master with spies everywhere on the continent, wouldn't you sit him down and be like, hey, listen, I also have a spy. Maybe you should talk to him about this incredibly pressing group that is stealing and killing and extracting tailed beasts from the strongest people on the continent. But no, at no point was Hiruzen like, yeah, by the way, you know that guy who killed the entire Uchiha clan? Works with me. Because when Jiraiya battles against Itachi, he's very much trying to capture him. If you know that Itachi is a spy for the Akatsuki, you don't put him in a toad stomach that, for all Jiraiya knew, was impossible to escape. You battle him just a little bit, and then you're like, oh no, he got away. Basically what Itachi did with Jiraiya, where he was like, oh god, Jiraiya doesn't know I'm a spy for some reason. He's fighting to kill. I need to leave. Which leads me to 2 possible conclusions. 1, Hiruzen lost his mind long before he died. Or 2, Itachi was such a useless spy, Hiruzen didn't even bother to mention the fact that he was a spy in the Akatsuki to Jiraiya. And honestly, the longer this video goes, the more likely the latter begins to feel. Now, some of the more delusional Naruto fans out there believe that the real reason that Itachi's information never got to Hiruzen or Jiraiya is because it was actually going to Danzo. Yes, that's right. Some people actually believe that Itachi was sending letters back to the village, but that information was going to Danzo, not Hiruzen or Jiraiya. To which I say, what? Sure, of course, Danzo is incredibly knowledgeable on all things everything. Even when Danzo is battling against Sasuke on the bridge and Sasuke pulls out his Susanoo, Danzo's like, oh, haven't seen one of those in a while, implying that he's seen a Susanoo prior to that. From who? We straight up do not know. And yes, Danzo knew about the Akatsuki. He actively tried to destroy them, which actually kind of made the Akatsuki. But the real reason that Danzo was so well informed is because he controlled a dark legion of 1,000 child assassins. It's not because Itachi was reporting to him, it's because he controlled the root. It's because he was allowed to operate unchecked for almost 4 decades. Sure, Jiraiya was technically the spy master for the good guys, but Danzo was the spy master for the bad-ish guys. He was also connected to the Hokage, sitting as an advisor to Hiruzen, meaning he was privy to all of the confidential information running through Konoha. But maybe more importantly than anything, why would Itachi report to Danzo? He hates Danzo. In fact, if he could kill Danzo, he probably would. In fact, the reason that Sasuke killed Danzo is because of how Itachi wanted to kill Danzo. Not only does Danzo kill Shisui, but he also forces Itachi into the Uchiha Massacre. On the night of the Uchiha Massacre, when Danzo was going around picking Sharingan like they're wild strawberries, Itachi pops up behind him and is like, if you ever touch Sasuke, I'll murder you. And then, after Hiruzen dies, as Itachi believed that Hiruzen was the gate between Danzo and Sasuke, he comes back to the village to once again threaten Danzo with murder. But here's my thing. Why would Itachi have to show up in Konoha to remind Danzo that he was alive if he was reporting information about the Akatsuki to Danzo? I think Danzo would get the general vibe that Itachi is still kicking if he was getting a letter every week telling him all about how the Akatsuki was moving. Now, other slightly more sensible Naruto fans will say that Itachi's real job was to sabotage the Akatsuki from the inside, which, like, kind of makes sense, but also really doesn't. Because were the Akatsuki sabotaged? By the time that Itachi dies, 7 out of 9 Jinchurikis have not only been killed, but also had their tailed beasts extracted. Itachi gravely wounds Yagura, a Mizukage, which eventually leads to his death, recruits Deidara to the Akatsuki, one of the more powerful members of the Akatsuki, who goes on to kill Gaara, and actively participates in every single Biju extraction. But am I sitting here and saying that Itachi should have blown his cover, activated Susanoo, and stabbed Nagato through the chest with his Totsuka blade? No, because even if he did that, he only would have sealed one of the paths of pain. But definitely could have done a better job in the old saboteur department. And if you're not gonna sabotage the Akatsuki in any way whatsoever, send a goddamn letter. The real reason the sabotage narrative gets around is because of what Itachi does when he pulls up on Konoha the first time. And I actually guess the only time. He never goes back after that. That's kind of sad. See, a lot of people speculate that when Itachi told Kisame that if they both fought against Jiraiya simultaneously, they would either die or be gravely injured and the fight would end in a relative stalemate and they wouldn't get Naruto, that was actually Itachi lying in order to save Naruto and protect Konoha. But we don't know that for sure. Jiraiya also could just be that strong. And pretty much everything that Jiraiya did proves that he is at least somewhere around that strong. We know that Nagato is the second strongest member of the Akatsuki, and Nagato himself acknowledged that if Jiraiya had information on how his powers worked, that Jiraiya would have killed him. Which means that Itachi's claim that Jiraiya would be able to fight against Itachi and Kisame simultaneously and bring them to what would be a rather deadly stalemate is kind of corroborated by the rest of the story. Some people even go so far as to speculate that the belief that Kurama had to be sealed in the Ghetto Mazo last was actually seeded by Itachi to protect Konoha, and that in actuality Kurama isn't more powerful than all the other tailed beasts combined, and Kurama could have been sealed to any point. However, Itachi convinced the entire Akatsuki that they couldn't seal Kurama until last, so that Naruto could be protected until the very last moment, which Itachi got the Akatsuki too, mind you, because once again, by the time that he died, 7 out of 9 Jinchuriki were dead. But once again, that's just a theory. We don't know that. And Kurama being more powerful than all the other tailed beasts combined is kind of backed up by basically every on-screen feat that Kurama has. Now, the most sensible of the non-sensible Naruto fans will say that once Itachi realized that he was sick, he stopped caring about what was going on in Konoha and started focusing more on surviving long enough to battle against Sasuke and die at his hand. Which is fair. We do know that as Itachi got more and more sick, not only could he do less and less, but also his attention shifted more and more to Sasuke, and surviving long enough that Sasuke would be able to battle against him, kill him, steal his eyes, and then, you know, be strong enough to battle against the Akatsuki, or anybody that they should happen to bring onto Earth, like Madara or Kaguya. Basically, Itachi just wanted Sasuke to be strong enough to survive in an incredibly cruel world, and also stab Orochimaru. But claiming that Itachi shifted his attention entirely from Konoha to Sasuke is just not true. How do I know this? Because an incredibly sick Itachi programmed the Kodoha Matsukame he had put in a crow to react to his own eyes. But why did Itachi program Kodoha Matsukame to attack his own eyes? And what did he program Kodoha Matsukame to do to the person that was wearing his set of oculars? Well, of course, the Kodoha Matsukame would force that person into protecting the leaf above all else. And why did Itachi do this? Because he knew after he died that Sasuke would take his eyeballs. And after Sasuke took his eyeballs, and after those eyeballs made eye contact with Naruto, a crow would crawl out of Naruto and put the person wearing those eyeballs under Kodoha Matsukame that would force them to protect the leaf. Which means that while Itachi was sick enough to be planning his own literal death, he was still thinking about a way to get Sasuke to protect Konoha, which, while I will admit, is as focused on Sasuke coming back to the place that wants to love and protect him as it is about Sasuke actually protecting the place that Itachi loves. So while sure, Itachi's focus does shift from entirely on Konoha to a little bit more on Sasuke and him protecting Konoha, he is still in the latest moments of his life thinking about Konoha and how to protect it. And yet, no letters, no hints about power systems, no locations of hideouts. Nothing. Itachi simply joined the Akatsuki, did all the evil thing the Akatsuki needed him to do, and then, well, that's actually it. For all intents and purposes, Itachi is just a member of the Akatsuki. Itachi is as much a spy for the Akatsuki as I am a designated hitter for the Boston Red Sox. Sure, I can say that's my role in my profession, but I'm not there and I'm not swinging a bat. And what did Itachi's downright refusal to share any information about the Akatsuki get Konoha? The bodies of Asuma and Jiraiya. Yes, the blood of both Asuma and Jiraiya is very easily on Itachi's hands. If Itachi had even done just 10% more as a spy in the Akatsuki, Asuma would have known that Hidan has immortality and all he needs is a little bit of your blood. Jiraiya would have known that Nagato is controlling 6 paths of pain and that Konan is made of paper. We didn't even need the location of the Akatsuki hideout. All we needed you to do was not kill Jinchuriki and tell us about their abilities. Because obviously, if you're too much of a spy and you're snitching too much, people are gonna start to figure out who's leaking the information. So all you legitimately needed to do was slip a cheat sheet to Konoha and be like, hey, there's 9 people in this group. Here are their abilities. Don't be too obvious with the fact that you know them when you're battling against them. All you have to do is be like, oh, look, it's the red scythe guy. I'm just gonna use long-range ninjutsu to keep him away. I'm not gonna yell at him,
I know you have a blood ability. You can't have any of mine.
oh no, it's the squidding spaghetti man. I know he has 4 hearts. Let's try to hit him with really big, high explosive techniques. It's that easy. And does it truly even matter if Itachi was found out as a member of the Akatsuki? There are 2 people in the Akatsuki that could kill Itachi. Nagato and Obito. So long as when the shoe drops and it's found out that Itachi is a spy, he's not around one of those 2, he could just leave. Not to mention, if you take my previous video to heart and acknowledge the fact that Itachi can kill people with Tsukiyomi, Itachi might have actually stood a chance in a fight against the likes of Nagato or Obito, so long as he could get them into Tsukiyomi, which obviously they both have dojutsu, so that would be tough. But genuinely, Itachi had nothing to be afraid of. And thus I conclude that Itachi is the worst spy in all of spy history, and that the deaths of both Asuma and Jiraiya are very much on his hands. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that Itachi is culpable for the deaths of 2 of the most beloved characters in all of Naruto? Tell me in the comments below, and while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. I'm filming this on Friday, and this video comes out Tuesday, but I wanted my video on Sunday, which is also about Itachi, to be titled, I Was Wrong About Itachi. But now, I want that video to be titled, I Was Wrong About Itachi, and then I want this Tuesday video to be titled, I Was Wrong About Being Wrong About Itachi, I'm Always Right, you dinguses.